Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Dead Space Impossible mode. No upgrades, no shop, no item, no stasis, and no damage. This is the second mission, second chapter, and this is one of the most fun fights in the game. It's going to kick off and we're ready for it. For the most, the encounters in this game are really well designed, and the checkpoints are not going to be the kind of thing that frustrate you too much. But every so often they do get a little spicy. This one, though, is pretty good. We've got a couple of... That is a female necromorph, that one. So watch out for the spitting. Or use it, depending on how you feel. And I'm trying to show you here that the TK is good, but it's somewhat unreliable. The improvements they made to it in the second game are my favourite part of Dead Space. He's going in a vent, he's going to come near us here, but if you go towards him, he'll come back in it. So you can manipulate them in the vents here, guys, to keep their movement where you need them to be. But the safest strat for any standard slasher is to take its leg. The only slasher that will cause trouble if you take its leg is the tweaker, because he moves quicker on the ground than Isaac does in a car. And I don't really know why that is, and he's a very problematic enemy later on. This guy is having AI problems right here. I don't know if this is frame rate or what, but he's real mad. So take the leg, take the arm, and then if you want, take the blade for his buddy, whoever comes next. And one of my biggest excitements for the remake for this is if they make it so that telekinesis works like Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2 perfected telekinesis. It was so good. You could beat the whole game just by throwing things. It was that strong. And even then, it was still balanced, because you couldn't just throw anything. You had to throw the right things at the right parts. And that's what I want to see the remake do. I want to see them take the only weak aspect of this game, really, which is the melee and the stasis. Everything else is phenomenal. But I guess we'll find out in a month, won't we? When I cover it then. But at the start of this, down the lift, there's going to be a slasher on the ground moving towards you. You can take your time here, because I think the spawn is when you push forward, and when you push forward, that's when everybody gets involved. And I did this a couple years back on a practice run, getting ready for this run, and I was using stasis, and the whole time I was just like, this feels weird, man. Like Dead Space 2, there's lots of enemies. It's designed around you getting mauled by lots of threats. You've got to really be on your toes. So using stasis then didn't feel like much of a crutch. It felt like the way the game worked. But in this one, I felt like I was kicking children, you know? They couldn't move, and I'm just wrecking them, and I'm like, I don't know about this, man. This might not be too fun to watch. So instead, I thought, what happens if we don't use it? And my heart just kind of went, oh, I don't want to do this. This is going to be awful. Everyone's going to be so fast. It's not going to be fun. I'm going to get just absolutely molested. And then I did the first few chapters, and I realized that, hang on a second here, this is good. This is different, you know? It's a different kind of game. And I'm sold now. It's like doing Fear without slow-mo. It feels different. And I've played this game a lot, so any different feeling is good. And this is a lurker, I think they're called. This is a creature that doesn't seem like much, but they're kind of tricky, because you can't hurt them without their tentacles being out, and you can't get rid of them really quickly outside of using a gravity plate. So he's definitely going to be an interesting annoyance later on, and this is where they introduce this creature. So when we go up the ladder here, there's going to be two more of them, and one of them jumps through the glass, and if you're too close to it, he jumps onto you. The most dangerous thing that the lurkers have is that they can do a grab, and the grab is just silly, because he jumps when he's close to you, and it's a QTE, and it does damage. So you never want to be that close to this monster just in case. That being said, being close to this monster sometimes is like being at a petting zoo. It just doesn't do anything, but other times it's really, really aggro. And I've experimented with knocking it down and stamping on it, but when you do that, it makes it really want to jump on you, and sometimes it's just easier to just kill it and not mess around. But this is the room where you stasis the malfunctioning door, and there's a couple of enemies on this ramp. This enemy in front of me is quite unique, because it has armoured legs, and it means that you can't take its boots off, you can't knock its knees or attack its ankles. You have to shoot it in its upper torso. And if you've never played Dead Space before, guys, center mass and headshots don't do anything in this game. This game is all about strategic dismemberment. It's all about taking away their arms, taking away their legs, taking away their tools. And this was one of the first instances to use this, and it's one of the best. Because it really... Hang on, that one's alive. There you go. That right there that it just did was its berserker stance. If you take their heads off, they will swing wildly while moving quite slowly towards you. And then this is a leaper. So, leapers are one of the fastest enemies in the game, and they don't get too bad until they come in the enhanced version. When the black leapers turn up, that's an enemy that is really bad, because it will take anywhere between 6 to 8 shots to take their limbs, and they steal your ammo. And when I bump into them later on, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have much ammo to steal. I shit you not, guys. You know that room with the satellite dishes where you have to put them all on the relay as a puzzle? I do that room with 3 black leapers chasing me because I don't have the ammo to kill them. I don't want to do that, you know? I don't want to be the guy that does the puzzle while he's being attacked, but I didn't have a choice. And that's how nuts this run's going to get by the end. So you're in for a treat, because it's it's the craziest run I've done in a while. I had to get really creative, and I hope that you like it. I hope you appreciate it. But did you see just then? That enemy came through the vent, and because they were off camera, they didn't attack me. This is part of the manipulation of camera in Dead Space. This is something that Callisto Protocol didn't do. You turn your camera off the enemy and they're faster than you and they beat the shit out of you from behind. And then people call that really difficult. You know, people say that the people that don't like Callisto Protocol don't like it because it's too hard. Yeah, those people are silly. Those people don't understand mechanics. But we're going to go up on the lift here. A couple of lurkers are going to spawn on the right-hand side. This is an area we know very well because it came back in Dead Space 2. And I'm always trepidatious when I come here because of my memories between the 2 games. I never can quite remember what happens, but I know something will. And I heard it then. Did you hear it? I didn't hear it when I was playing because I'm playing with no audio. Because I was watching a TV show. Because I do that sometimes, but we've got a slasher and a lurker, sorry. We don't have a... Not a lurker, sorry, it's a pouncer. So, just 1 slasher and 1 pouncer, and I'm going to alternate between the 2 to keep them stunned, and then I'm going to stomp them accordingly. But this game is a ton of fun, guys. And then in this room, you have a bunch of leapers that turn up, and I'm going to kill them with the explosives, and then I'm going to see this weird piece of flesh rotating, and that's the end of the room. And then when you come through the 0G sequence later on, there is a single slasher in here to scare you. And you could skip these if you wanted to. Later on, I experimented skipping enemies because I was running out of ammo, but I didn't want to do it. I do challenge runs, guys, so I can fight. I want to fight the enemies, I want to engage, I want to get good gameplay. But towards the last few chapters on this, I just couldn't. There was too much. And this game is meant to have a dynamic system that gives you ammo when you need it and kind of always keeps you where you need to be to win. And it gets a little stricter when you've got too much and whatnot. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels like every so often it just gives you some ammo because it expects that you've used some. And then every so often it dynamically gives you money that you don't need. Like, it really doesn't feel like the game is taking into account how low my ammo is and how much I have to kill. And what will happen is you'll get to a room where you've got to kill a bunch of dudes and you barely have the ammo to do it. Sometimes you don't. And then you get into the next room, and then there's like 6 plasma cutter rounds just sat on the ground. And it's like, well, yeah, that's cool that you've replenished what I've used, but what if I never got to that room? You can run past this as well if you bait them out. Every time those creatures turn up, I'm going to run past them because they're a waste of ammunition and they don't do anything. But I kept this in because technically they can kill you quicker than almost anything else. And then in this room, you have a couple of lurkers, which I'm going to wait for them to do the wall trick, where they climb on the walls and then I'm going to get rid of the tentacles. And this is an area where the lurkers get really close to me. See him? He got really close then and then he ran away. This is how nuanced the balance of Dead Space is. It's scary, it's difficult, but it's not bullshit. That creature then could have jumped on me from off camera, but it didn't. It turned around when I turned around and it ran into position and then it attacked me in a fair manner. This is all elegance of design you might not notice, but this game had it in 2008. And then we have another Necro here, so we'll just take the slasher on. And then there's the lurker with the slasher. And then watch this lurker using cover. This dude's been watching Wings of Redemption's stream. You see this? This guy is pixel peeking like a pro. Look at him. What a hero. And he dropped plasma cutter, which is always nice. And at this moment, we don't have to worry too much about ammunition because we're going to get plenty. This is a pincer as well. Be very careful. See the stun? Right there. Shoot them when they jump, get the stun. Panic, lose. Keep your composure and annihilate. That's all you can do. This is not a run for people that panic as well when you get overwhelmed, because if you do, you'll just lose. You have to stay cool and focus on who's attacking. This is such a good game, guys. I can't imagine anybody that thinks Callisto has better combat than this. I feel like the people saying that are smoking crack. It blows my mind. The combat in this game is timeless. I was bored with Callisto about an hour into my first playthrough because it's just so vapid and empty. And then I got into an argument with somebody on my second stream of it who was saying that it has all these combos and that I'm not far into the game. I don't know. It's like, dude, I beat this game twice. Hardest difficulty. No fucking healing. Practically no damage. Don't tell me that it gets better. I'm gonna find where you live and stab your kids. It's like, are you serious? It gets fucking better. When? When you uninstall it? Like, how does it get better? I love that, dude. Someone is so passionate about a game that they want to defend it and then they're wrong. How does it get better exactly? Every enemy gets one extra hit. Is that a game getting better when all I have to do is go left, right, left, right, left, right and win? Because it doesn't seem better to me. There's an extra fight here as well, guys, if you go down this corridor. You don't have to do it. I was just curious, and it's actually quite big. There's a bunch of slashers, I think, that attack you. So once you finish smashing the Xboxes, as Beer Baron called them all those years ago, this guy comes out of the vent and there's a spawn behind me that's just happened. So I'm going to move towards him while reloading, and here comes his friends. You could use the blades and fire some blades at these guys, but I'm going to try and hit them at the same time with the same plasma and just completely demobilize them. And if you're watching this and thinking, damn, this game's got a lot of enemies, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's really funny too, because when you have Stasis, I didn't even remember fights being that difficult because you can just freeze them and it's fine. But when you get to some of the later rooms and there's like 8 dudes and you have to freeze, and sorry, you can't freeze anybody, that's when the game gets really, really tough. But here's just a single guy. There must be a sweet spot to shoot this creature where you can hit 2 tentacles at once. I feel like there has to be something for that, and I can never do it. I always try though, do you? And this is the hardest room so far. This room is a problem. So currently, with no upgrades, you do not have the damage to stop this creature from infecting multiple enhanced black necromorphs. This necromorph is bad news. And his buddy over there is going to make more. So I need to shut him down, and I need to kite this necro that moves this quickly. Look how fast he is. So I put him off camera, I shoot the infector, I get around this table, he jumps at me but he can't get to me, and then he's going to make another dude. And this is at that point where you hope you kill him, or you have 2 of these dudes and I don't kill him. So you need to manipulate their movement behind this morgue table, because if you don't, you're in trouble, because this necromorph is one of the fastest enemies in the game, and the infector's coming now as well. Look at this. Look how nuts this is. And then he's on my head right now, which is awkward, but we're keeping our cool. They can't get me here. If they pivot, I'm dead, but right now, I'm winning. And this looks easy, guys, but it's not. This is a very difficult... This is harder than anything in Callisto Protocol, this right now. Because you are mechanically being demanded to kite 3 separate enemies, and each of them are very fast and very capable. That fight was awesome. This was the part where I realized this was going to be a good run. But yeah, do not let infectors infect. If you do that, you will lose. They will always make enhanced necromorphs, and enhanced necromorphs are bad news. But pick up all the ammunition, and the checkpoint here is kind of shit as well. So be very careful. There's another enhanced necromorph coming up that falls out of a vent. He's just in this room here. If he hits you, and he hit me, you have to do that fight again. Because they don't give you a checkpoint for some reason, so be very careful. But he's not difficult, he goes down really quickly. That one in there, though, in that room, that guy's a beast. But that's the end of the 2nd chapter, ladies and gentlemen. The end of Intensive Care. Thank you for watching, and you take care now.